Story 1. Am I the a-hole for exposing my sister to our parents after finding out she's been lying about needing money for medical expenses? I, 32 female, feel sick even writing this, but I need to know if I went too far. So, my sister, 29 female, we'll call her Emma, has always been the golden child in our family. She's the baby, the one who could do no wrong. For the past year or so, she's been telling our parents that she's struggling with medical bills and needs help financially. She's always so vague about it, she'll say things like, "Oh, my insurance doesn't cover this specialist," or, "I need this medication that costs hundreds of dollars every month." And of course, my parents always give her money. They're retired now and living on a pretty tight budget, but they love us and would do anything to help. Here's the thing though, Emma doesn't look like someone drowning in medical debt. She's constantly posting pictures online, not where our parents can see them, of course, of herself at fancy restaurants, wearing designer clothes, and even going on vacations. I tried to brush it off for the longest time because maybe she's just treating herself despite being stressed out. But the more I thought about it, the more it just didn't add up. Last week, I ran into one of her friends at a coffee shop. We started chatting, and out of nowhere, this friend was like, "Wow, Emma's life seems so amazing lately. I wish I could afford half the stuff she buys." She even mentioned Emma's plans to go to Europe in the spring. I was like, "What?" Because my sister had just told my mom she needed $2,000 for some medical test. After that, I couldn't let it go. I checked her social media, and it was all there: designer bags, nights out, receipts from luxury stores, even photos from a spa weekend. There wasn't a single hint of anything remotely related to medical problems. I confronted her when we were alone, and she tried to deny it at first. But when I pushed harder, she finally admitted it. She laughed and said, "It's not like they can't afford it. Besides, I deserve to live a little. They'd just waste that money anyway." That was the moment I saw red. I went straight to our parents. I showed them the photos, all of it. My mom was devastated. She actually started crying, and my dad looked so heartbroken. They'd been sacrificing for her, even dipping into their retirement savings. My dad said something like, "I thought we were helping her stay alive." It absolutely crushed me. Emma, of course, found out what I did. She's been blowing up my phone with texts calling me a jealous beach and saying I've ruined her relationship with our parents. She's also been telling mutual friends that I'm vindictive and just looking for a reason to take her down. A few friends have even said I should have handled it differently, like talking to her first or minding my own business. But how could I just let her keep lying and draining our parents dry? They're not rich, they're retired. What if they'd run out of money because of her? Now the whole family's a mess. Emma isn't speaking to any of us, and my parents are heartbroken. Part of me wonders if I went too far by exposing her like that, but I felt like they deserved to know the truth. So, am I the a-hole here? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Your sister is the a-hole lying to your parents that she needs help with medical bills. She should be ashamed of here, such an a-hole. Thank you. I just could not hold it back anymore after finding out that she has been lying to them this whole time. They deserve better, as they always supported us and loved us. They don't deserve that. I just had to tell them the truth about it. I'm assuming this is real, but think about it. Anyone who would condone the committing of fraud on the elderly, by a family member, by a child, who was supported and given everything, at the risk of the elder person's financial security in their golden years, so that the fraudster could get handbags and trips out of it? It's literally breathtaking. Anyone who said that to you, I would end whatever friendship there supposedly was due to the disparity in values. Of course, she would self-justify to her friends. I wonder if they knew that she was stealing money from her parents under false pretenses. But your friends telling you to mind your own business instead of honoring your mother and father and looking out for them. The fact that your sister isn't speaking to your parents now that they have nothing more to give her is so sad. I'm not sure if some of this blame goes to your parents for coddling her, but she is a grown woman now. And by the way, the answer wouldn't change even if your parents were wealthy. The only possible scenario, which would still be wrong, is if your parents had neglected her and favored everyone else, and she was taking whatever she could. Still wrong, dishonest, and fraudulent. I retired as a service representative for the Social Security Administration 25+ years. Unfortunately, this kind of thing is not uncommon. In this case, the parents gave the funds knowingly, but many times the family members would be representative payee, and our office was made aware of the financial, physical, mental abuse via Adult Protective Services. She scammed her own parents out of money by making them believe she was dangerously sick. Your parents honestly thought she'd die if they didn't give her money. That is scum of the highest order. You did talk to her first, she admitted her con. Staying silent meant more distress, emotional and financial, for your parents. You don't support scamming old people out of their money by claiming medical expenses, especially for someone so pathetically shallow they spend it all on luxuries. Sister made her bed. She can lie in it all alone with everyone side-eyeing her, wondering when she's going to try and con money out of them. Not the a-hole. I just could not watch it anymore here, scamming my parents out of money. They are the most loving people I know that don't deserve that, and I will never let anything like this ever to happen again to them. What she's done is criminal, and she's done it to her own parents. That's abhorrent. She deserves whatever happens to her. I totally agree with you. She needs to be punished for that. Story 2. Am I the a-hole here for telling my sister's boyfriend it's not his business if I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom? So I, female 22, have an older sister, female 28. She has 4 kids, and she loves being a mom and wants to be a stay-at-home mom, and I encourage her to do whatever she wants. She herself understands that I have no desire to be a mom right now, if not ever. I have 2 other older sisters who are like me who doesn't want to be a stay-at-home mother. This is important in the story. Her boyfriend is mad at me, male 27, because he asked me when I'm going to settle down and that he can introduce me to his friend, male 25, who wants a stay-at-home wife. I told him no, that I don't want to date anyone this year, and he got mad at me for some reason and asked me why. So I told him my ex-boyfriend left me with trust issues. My ex cheated on me for 6 months into a 3-year relationship. He told me we broke up in 2023 and I should start getting back out there, and I told him it's not his business and he dropped it. But 2 days ago he asked me if I wanted to be a stay-at-home wife and mother, and I told him no, that I don't, and I'm not even sure if I want kids, let alone to be married. He got defensive since his mom was a stay-at-home wife and mom, and I told him I don't see anything wrong with being a stay-at-home mom, but that I don't personally want to depend on a man for anything, and he once again got defensive and said not all men are the same. I told him he was correct, but again, not all women want the same thing. He said my sister wants to be a stay-at-home wife and mom, and I told him congratulations on finding that with my sister, but that I once again don't want to be a stay-at-home mom. He got mad because he overheard my conversation about me getting an IUD as well and told me I'm ruining God's plan to make me a mom one day, and I told him whether I want kids or not is not his business. He got mad at me and told me to get out of his home, so I did. My older sister is asking me to apologize to him and to not get an IUD since if I get pregnant that it's God's plan. And she also told me I should reconsider being a stay-at-home mom wife. I told her not everyone has that dream. And she accused me of not respecting stay-at-home mothers' wives, which is nothing but lies. My 2 other older sisters are on my side and said my sister's boyfriend shouldn't be to concern with how I live my life, and that if I don't want to depend on anyone for the rest of my life, that's my choice. He also said I'm going to hell for being bisexual, so I screamed that I guess his girlfriend, my sister, is also going to hell because she's bisexual herself, which he already knows about. Now their friends are calling me an asshole, saying that he only cares about what I do with my body since it's God's body, and I should respect it and become a mom soon. So am I the asshole for telling my sister's boyfriend it's not his business if I don't want to be a stay-at-home wife mom? Edit to clarify, I did put this in some comments, but 3 out of her 4 kids aren't even his. My sister has a 7,43 and soon-to-be newborn. Edit 2. I get asked this question a lot, about why I was discussing getting an IUD to my sister's boyfriend. I wasn't discussing it to him. Me and my 3 sisters were all discussing it at his house, but he wasn't there. He walked in though when I said I was thinking of getting a IUD, And that's when he butted into the conversation. And as soon as he said, "God's body, not my body," me and my 2 other sisters started talking to him about it, and he raised his voice, so I raised mine, and we eventually left since I don't like conflict at all. Now for the comments. This guy sounds like a creep. Who is he to dictate what you do with your life, your career, and your body? I hope your sister knows about this and supports you, not the a-hole. My sister, who is with him, wholeheartedly supports him and that I should be a stay-at-home. She wants me to apologize to keep the damn peace, but I told her I'm done keeping the peace. He also supports the abortion ban, which is his opinion. Me, on the other hand, is pro-choice. He wants a national abortion ban even for RP and incest, which makes me nervous to be in a room with him. She also supports this. So many red flags here and not the a-hole here. To add a bit of fun and flair to your arguments, since they keep bringing up God in all this, feel free to point out that boyfriend is not husband, and in God's eyes they are living in sin, and all those lovely children are illegitimate bastards. That should bring about a whole bucket of fun there. Also be sure to point out her boyfriend's obsession with your body and what you're doing with it. Does he perchance want that body for his own, and since he can't have it, he's using his friend as a surrogate? There are some serious issues here, but none of them are your problem. As a side note, being petty with biblical technicalities can be a total hoot. You obviously love your sister if you're putting up with this guy's bullcrap, but I'd be going low or no contact after that crap. 3 out of her 4 kids aren't even his. She is pregnant, about to give birth at the end of this month. No shade, but your sister needs help. 5 kids at 28 with different fathers, and she's not even married but has the audacity to bring up God's plan. Oh yes, misogyny disguised as religion. Maybe he's looking for a sister wife. It's beyond creepy that he's discussing your choice of birth control for your body. Are they going to take care of the kid you don't want due to not getting an IUD? Doubtful. I'd avoid him at all costs. Bring up his porn obsession next time he brings up anything about your sexuality. I'd almost guarantee he has one. You know the religiously nutty don't like to be called out on their sin. It's God's plan to... If I ever hear that, the conversation hits a full stop. Holy crap, you talk to God? What's he like? What's his favorite food? What does his voice sound like? Do other religious leaders know that God personally talks specifically to you about me? I can't believe my sister is lucky enough to date and sleep with, but not marry, a guy that actually talks with God. You're definitely not the a-hole, but you should consider being a bigger a-hole to this idiot. Story 3. Am I the a-hole here for telling my daughter it's none of her business who I decide to date and to mind her own business? My ex-wife and I finalized our divorce proceedings last year after her one-night stand. The one-night stand really hurt me, and it made me really sad and angry. My ex-wife did apologize a lot and was willing to do anything I asked, but I lost all emotions for her. She really wanted reconciliation, and I will admit I did reconsider reconciliation for a moment, but I ultimately decided I couldn't do it. My ex-wife and I, however, did keep the divorce amicable for the sake of our daughters, who are 13 and 15. But the divorce did affect our daughters a lot. After the divorce was finalized, I wasn't in any mood to have a relationship, but I did want to hook up and kind of become wild. The divorce proceedings took a year, and in that time I did spend a lot of time in the gym and on physical fitness, and by the time the divorce was finalized, I was the fittest I have ever been in my life. And I have had some success on dating apps. I invite the dates over to my house when my daughters are away at their mom's. We spend the night just relaxing, cooking dinner, watching movies. We do the deed, and then they leave the next morning. However, what I forgot when I first bought someone over was that my older daughter had the Ring app installed on her phone, and so she could see who I invited in. And I hadn't turned off the Ring camera when I invited my date in. My older daughter confronted me after seeing that I had invited someone into our house, and she said she wasn't comfortable with it. I tried to be understanding, but my daughter was being really confrontational, and she said it was disrespectful to her mom. That's when I finally put my foot down and told her it's none of her business who I decide to date or bring over when she's not in the house. I also removed my daughter's email from the Ring account, so she can no longer view the Ring camera. Am I the a-hole here? Now for the comments. You're divorced, so you can do whatever, but your daughters are in a tough spot. Having to see you moving on is probably pretty tough on them. Just be mindful of that. True. Divorce is tough on everyone involved, especially the children. From your daughter's perspective, her parents just decided to call it quits, and now her dad is being a hoe-mean while she is heartbroken. Do you value your relationship with your daughter? Do you care about her feelings? Technically, you are not the a-hole, but do you want to be right, or do you want to be a good dad? I'm not saying that you should stop what you are doing or tailor your behavior. Have fun, but be kind in the way that you communicate with your daughter. Consider telling her the truth about the divorce and therapy. It sounds like a good amount of damage has already been done. You are making yourself the villain in her story. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be a good dad? Love this. Spot on. I guess I struggle with this post because as a father, my kids come first, especially their mental well-being during a difficult time. This whole thing is selfish and makes me sad for those kids. No a-hole here, but remember, at 15 and 13, they are obligated to whatever arrangements you expose them to for at least a few more years. If you focus exclusively on your interests and comfort to the exceptions of theirs, who have little to no recourse in their situation, you risk alienating them and ruining your relationship with them in the future. You can always get a hotel. I agree, no a-hole here. However, bringing his hookups to his own house when his kids are at their mom's isn't the core issue. It's the fact OP forgot to turn off the Ring camera, so the daughters had to process what happened alone and became confrontational. Ultimately, they need a family talk, especially as OP isn't putting his life on hold with seeing women. Still, it's ludicrous to tell someone to buy a hotel instead of using their own home in which they're otherwise alone at. Not the a-hole for living a single life, you're the a-hole for how you handled it as a parent. Your kids don't know why you're divorced, and then the actual proof they have of your separation is you inviting another woman into your house. You don't get to be an a-hole father for the excuse of being a martyr. Either be transparent with them about infidelity and why you as adult have chosen to meet new people, or hold off on getting your pee-pee wet until you can adequately have a conversation with your kids who are innocent and confused in all of this. This story didn't start with you being the a-hole, but you're doing a hell of a job changing the narrative in the eyes of your own children. Even if you're not the bum, acting like one automatically makes you one. Shutting your kids out while they are trying to understand the state of the only family they have ever known is the definition of a selfish, a-hole parental thing to do. You don't get to be an asshole father for the excuse of being a martyr? Holy crap, this is my dad entirely. Fits of extreme anger, dismissive, hard-headed, and yet is always the victim. And he's the one who cheated on my mother a couple times, chooses to divorce her after she forgave him, then acts like he's the victim of all of it. My relationship is always strained because of that, and I hardly want to see him. Sorry, kinda random rant. Obviously OP is a different situation, but he needs to prioritize his daughters if he doesn't want them feeling uncomfortable every time they see him after they've moved out. Story 4. Am I the a-hole for not sending enough essentials with my kids for their half-siblings? I, 33 male, shared 50-50 custody of my children, 11 male, 10 female, and 8 male, with my ex-wife. My ex is remarried and has an additional 2 children under the age of 3 with her husband. They are struggling financially. They cannot afford to meet the needs of the children. The courts are aware of this and have not, will not, give me full custody. Instead, they are encouraged to seek resources, and I am encouraged to ensure my kids are taken care of all the time, even if not in my custody. Because of this, I send my kids with certain essentials, like easy foods to eat and a few extra clothes and toiletries. My ex has asked me to send them with formula, diapers, or toddler-friendly foods before, and I ignore her. I only make sure my kids have those things. I know she and her husband get a lot of help to provide better, and I do not feel like it should be on me to make sure their 2 kids are taken care of. But my ex had a fit over Christmas about our kids getting nice gifts and going to her house with food she and her husband couldn't provide. And she told me I was being a a-hole and petty with children who never harmed me in any way. I told her the job is hers and her husband's to ensure they are taken care of. She told me I can afford it. I could do it and be kind and make sure our kids don't see their half-siblings as lesser because they don't get as much. I told my ex she had some nerve expecting me to fix her mistakes, and this only pissed her off more. But her financial situation was never the best, and she decided to grow her family anyway. That wasn't a decision I had any say or part of. Am I the a-hole for not doing more for the other two children? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Not your kids, not your problem. You're already doing right by sending stuff for your own kids. Your ex and her new husband chose to have more kids while broke. That's on them. Keep taking care of your three. Their money issues aren't yours to fix. This op. But also document this behavior in text. Next custody hearing, get a lawyer and let them deal with the court. Also, primarily converse via text, Facebook, etc. I've heard there is a parenting app, maybe look into that. Judges tend to not like entitled and toxic behavior. Not the a-hole. If she can't afford all the kids, then she has the option of limited custody. There are resources out there as well, along with hard decisions of one or both parents taking a second job depending on childcare. You can't bankroll their situation. They are in the situation because they didn't think it through and now aren't even trying to do better. Enabling won't help. They will just accept they can ask and someone provide. Not the a-hole. I really hope she's not taking things away from your kids. I mean, anything they bring with them, she probably confiscates and uses for the two other kids. Really expecting you to send diapers and formula for the young ones is absolutely crazy. But you say she's already hooked up with organizations and stuff, so either she's not getting enough or they use too much. But her younger kids are not your responsibility. Her or her husband can go out and get a second job if they're so strapped for money. You don't keep spitting out kids if you can't afford the three you already have.
Thank you for listening. If you like the video, consider like and subscribe. If you want more stories like these, turn on your notification to receive the latest stories.